Hi, I'm Kevin Hauser with the Couple Creek Apple Nursery. Today we're out at Horne Creek Farm, a living history farm. Closest big town around here is Pinnacle, North Carolina. And we're here out in their heritage apple orchard. This apple orchard was planted and sponsored by Lee Calhoun of Pittsboro, North Carolina, the famous apple sleuth of the Carolinas and author of Old Southern Apples. And the second volume is just coming out. We're here in front of a tree that's called Espalier. This is the way it is trained flat. You could train it against a trellis like it is here, or you could train it against a fence, sometimes up against the house or the chimney. And as you can see, it's a very ornamental way of growing apples, and also a very convenient way. Obviously it's very productive, which is one of the things we love about this method. It's easy to get to everything, easy to harvest, easy to pick. Easy to spot problems. If you have some fire blight or other disease on here, you're able to see it early and get to it. Even someone in a wheelchair could row up and grow apples like this and be able to reach most of these things from the wheelchair. You could keep it trimmed down lower if you're down near, closer to the ground, to be able to reach up and grab these things. We just love these ornamental ways of growing fruit and the productivity of it. In a commercial orchard, this is how it would be. They call them pedestrian orchards because you don't need ladders or high equipment to be able to reach up to the top of the trees, as we see in the orchard behind me there. You're able to reach everything from the ground. It's a flat surface on both sides, so spraying, if you're doing spraying, is a lot easier. You're able to just get up and go like this. You're not trying to shoot it way up into the top of the trees. And so this is a way I would recommend if you don't think you have room for an apple tree at your house. This will fit in just about any spot. This is called Terry Winter. It's one of the true keepers of the South. Down here in North Carolina, they wouldn't get the cold winters like they would back in the upper Northeast, and so of apple that would keep through the winter time in just the cold cellar or a root cellar or something like that, where it's not really that cold, was very valued by the Southerners. And this is one of those apples that keeps very well with limited refrigeration. It keeps through the winter, gives them fresh fruit through the winter. The taste and quality of it, when grown down in Riverside and our hot climate down there, is pretty much the same as growing up here in a cooler climate where they have the colder winters. And also for us, it's also this productive. It just explodes in fruit every year. To get a larger fruit size, you'll thin some, but this is pretty much typical of the size that we get and that you could expect it here. They never get really big, but it's still a wonderful, unique taste treat. The flesh is firm, juicy, and makes good pies and good ciders, and it's not bad for fresh eating. You're able to get your teeth around something small like this without having this huge apple in your face.
You may recall in our 3-part video series on Old Southern Apples, we visited Lee Calhoun in North Carolina, who has hundreds of apple varieties growing in a small space trained as oblique cordons, small apple trees consisting of a single trunk growing at a 45-degree angle. He did the same here at Horne Creek Farm, as it is an efficient and productive way to grow apples.
This is a close-up of the way that these single cordons are pruned. What it is when a branch comes out, it's pruned back, and then that will sprout a couple more branches, and both of those are pruned back, and then those will sprout branches until you get like this bristly, bushy type of growth. And this is very productive because each one of these little branches will develop fruit spurs on it. And what this does is gives you a lot of fruit on a very compact space. This small branch here has a lot of fruit spurs on it that will bear a very heavy crop. And this is why we train it on these espalier wires here in order to help support this, because once it has this full load of fruit, it's going to be very heavy. And the wires help support this during the high winds so that the dwarfing rootstock in this graft union will be able to hold this load of fruit. Otherwise, it might snap or tip over in the winds.